What's good, everybody? Hopefully you guys are doing good. So today we're back for another video. Today is July 15th, and in case you guys aren't aware, taxes are due today in the US. So if you still got to file, you got a little bit of time to get it together. You probably shouldn't have waited this late, but hey, you know what? That's a story for another time. So before I begin, I'm gonna say this. This is all for fun and entertainment purposes only. I am not a tax expert. I'm not a CPA. Get some tax expertise. Get a CPA who can help you with your situation and see what works best for you. Alright, that being said, let's continue. So, this is from CNBC, a few key takeaways from tax day, some things that I didn't know, I just found out today. So if you file your taxes by today, Uncle Sam will pay up to 5% interest on your late refund. Because right now the IRS has a whole backlog of these PPP loans, EIDL, all this stuff people are filing. It's going to be time until people get their refund. It's going to be later than usual. So because of that, you can get up to 5% on a late refund. Okay, that's kind of nice. However, there's a caveat. Since the original tax date was postponed to a disaster, the IRS will pay up to 5% on refunds issued after April 15th, but the caveat, you must file by July 15th, which is today. Interest, now this is what I don't like. Interest on your refund may be taxable when you file your 2020 tax return next year. So they give you your money late, so they give you interest. That interest that they give you, you're gonna have to probably give it back. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So the average tax return was $2,762 as of July 3rd, which is not bad. I mean, money back is always good. Let's continue on here. Let's see what else we got. All right. It's especially welcome to news to filers who have submitted paperwork or who've been corresponding with the IRS over additional verification. Individuals may have been waiting for months for a refund as the agency began calling its employees back to the office and picking through millions of pieces of paper. So that's true too. So I think the IRS offices, some of them were closed or they're operating in limited capacity. I personally didn't have to give them a phone call to ask about anything, but I know people who did call, and they did mention that it was very, very long wait times, and right now we gotta wait and see with all this craziness. So the fact the original date was postponed due to the bug is a driving reason behind why the IRS is paying taxpayers interest. Well, yeah, that makes sense. This year's July 15th filing date considered a disaster-related postponement of the filing deadline. IRS spokesman Eric Smith, where disaster-related postponements exist, the IRS is required by law to pay interest. See, that's interesting. I didn't even know that. So you watch something on YouTube, you learn something new. How about that, huh? As long as an individual income taxpayer files a 2019 tax return by the postponed deadline. So that's not bad, I guess. That makes sense. They want to show that they're going to give you your money, so because of that they'll give you interest, but once they pay you, they're going to tax you. It kind of reminds me of Social Security, because I remember, although I haven't filed for it, I know people who have, and they've told me that when you get your Social Security, it is taxed. So you work, you pay taxes, and then you retire, they send you Social Security, and then you end up paying taxes on it again. And if you're a millennial, Generation X, basically anybody born after the 90s, good luck getting your Social Security, because by that point it's probably going to run out in about 20-30 years. We'll talk about that another time, but I've seen articles where it's probably going to run out. Alright, let's continue here. It's crediting 5% per year compounded daily for the second quarter ending on June 3rd. For the third quarter ending September 30th, the agency will credit 3% interest. In comparison, high-yield saving accounts are paying over 1%. And one other thing, if you guys have a high-yield savings account, it's better than having a traditional one that pays you 0.1. If you don't have a high-yield interest savings account, an online one, talk to your tax CPA, talk to an expert to look into that, because that could potentially be making you quite a bit of money compared to making 0.1%, which is basically you're making pennies at that point. 1% is decent. I miss the good old days though, I'm not gonna lie, when it was at 2%. I think it was a year or two ago, it was at 2%, the savings rate, but now it's been dropping with the Fed's printing and everything going on. It's probably gonna be less than 1%, that's just my prediction. But talk to an expert, they can find an account for you online that will make sense for you. Alright, so you may receive interest payments separate from a refund according to the IRS. Track how much the taxman pays you, as the interest you get from the agency will be subject to taxes when you file your return in 2020. This isn't free money. You're going to get a Form 1099 INT from the IRS in 2020. Alright, penalties. Gotta love our penalties, right? The cost of missing July 15th deadline is steep for people who owe the IRS. Failure to pay penalties are 0.5% of the tax owed, while failure to file carries a penalty of 5% of the unpaid tax. If the IRS owes you a refund, however, you can't collect until you file. The average refund is total $2,762 as of July 3rd. You may as well e-file today and snap up your interest. Yeah, penalties are not fun, guys, so I suggest you get an expert so you can avoid penalties. Another way, you're just wasting money, paying penalties. So July 15th is the last day that we have. I was actually thinking they might extend it. I was really shocked that they did not extend to October or September at this rate, especially with the cases of the bug increasing. I was crossing my fingers that it was going to get extended, but now it didn't, and then I had to kind of scramble to file my taxes. But that's another story for another time. Let's continue. So the IRS has received 142 million individual income tax returns as of July 3rd. The agency has paid out 95.2 million refunds, delivering an average of $2,762. Rushing out a return with only hours to spare, careless errors, including incorrect social security number and incorrect calculations for deductions and credits, will cost you. Which is why I say get an expert so they can realize your gains and your losses and do all that stuff for you, so you won't make mistakes and end up paying more down the line. It's worth paying a couple $100, guys, trust me. It's investment well made. Alright, so the most common things we see is people who wait the last minute, but they don't have the money to pay the balance due right away, said Nathan Rigney, lead tax research analyst for Tax Institute and H&R Block. There's this tendency to bury your head in the sand and not file because you can't pay, and that's the biggest mistake. Here are 5 common errors. Okay, good. So we're going to go over some errors that have come up, and hopefully you can avoid them. But hopefully you've already filed, so this is not an issue for you. But if you haven't filed, I'm going to try to do what I can to help you guys a little bit. Alright, let's continue. 5 errors. For instance, you need your child's social security number and full name as it is on his or her credit card in order to claim the $2,000 child tax credit. Be aware of other changes in your household over the past year. If you're in a rush, your tendency might be to look at last year's return and fill out the form the same way you did then. But maybe your parents moved in with you, or your adult child moved back in, he said. Indeed, qualifying dependents who are 17 and over are eligible for a tax credit of up to $500. So I guess you got to take care of your parents, or you have a child who moved back in, 17 and over, you get a tax credit of up to $500. Again, it tells you this, but logistics are a whole nother thing. Like I said, talk to an expert. They will tell you exactly what you can and can't do, and they will protect you. Trust me. That's all I can say about that. Okay, using the wrong filing status. So that's key too. When I went to my tax person, he told me you got to make sure if you're filing jointly, or if you're filing separately, or if you got kids or whatever, it's going to make a huge difference. So it's going to really save you a lot if you file the correct way. If you file the wrong way, it's going to probably hurt you down the line. Skipping key credits and deductions. So there's a lifetime learning credit valued up to $2,000 per tax return. You don't have to be a full-time student to qualify for the lifetime learning credit. You can take on courses while you're working. See, so that's what I'm talking about, guys. So this lifetime learning credit, they kind of give you an idea of it, but do you really know how this thing works? Do you know exactly what you can and can't do with it? Of course not. But if you have a CPA, he or she can tell you what you can and can't do. If you itemize returns, be sure you have the documents to back up what you're claiming. This could include statements from your lender if you're deducting mortgage interest, or acknowledgement letters and valuations for charitable donations. So keeping receipts, that's kind of common, but the more information you have to give to your tax person, the better they can make sure that they file correctly for you. Alright, also too, if you have a Roth IRA, which I do have a Roth IRA, savers can stash up to $6,000 in an IRA, $7,000 if they're over age 50. So if you have a regular taxable brokerage account and an IRA, you take your documents, have your tax person look at it and decide what they can do for you. The tax implications do vary, so they can let you know what's the best plan for you. If you have a high deductible healthcare plan with health savings account, you also have until today to make your 2019 contributions. For the 2019 year, you can contribute up to $3,500 if you have self-only coverage, and toss an extra $1,000 toward your HSA if you are 55 or older, not knowing when to ask for more time. If you don't think you'll be able to file in a timely and accurate manner, ask for an extension to October 15th. Skipping your taxes altogether will cost, if you owe the IRS, you're on the hook for a penalty of 5% taxes owed, charged for each month or part of a month the return is late. If the IRS owes you a refund, you won't be able to collect until you file. You'll want to get an estimate of what you owe and get the money into the IRS, said Stern. Taxes are due today. Here's what you need to know. Taxpayers must file or seek an extension by today or face a financial penalty. This is from Fox News. As you guys know, I like to get different sources so we can kind of confirm, or we can see if they have opposing views on what they're saying, and then you can decide for yourself what makes sense to you. Alright, so it says here, if you use the IRS non-filer tool or file a return with $0 or $1 of income, then you need to file a new tax return by US mail instead of electronically. See, this is what I'm saying, guys. With amended EIP return written or printed, this is all complicated stuff. But you have a CPA, they can make it very clear for you what you can and can't do. The IRS said it would expect payments on interest on delayed refunds. They're going to pay interest on delayed refunds. Taxpayers with a refund issue date between April 15th and June 30th earn an annual interest rate of 5%. So seems pretty consistent. The same thing with the Roth IRA. You got $6,000 for the regular, and you're going to add an additional $1,000 if you're over 50. So here we go, guys. This is a kind of a sneak peek about the whole IRA account. Traditional IRA contributions may be taxable. Withdrawals are typically taxable, although there are several complicating factors, including income limits and whether you or your spouse are covered by a workplace retirement plan. So if you have a separate work-related IRA account, it's going to be kind of different, according to what they're telling us here. Today's the tax deadline. Here's what happens if you don't file. You go to jail. That's what happens. I'm just kidding. If you don't file, you can face a failure to file penalty. File your taxes but don't pay them, the IRS could charge you a failure to pay penalty. And like I said, oh, there's more. Let me see. If you continually, oh, this is important, guys. Let's pay attention. If you're watching your sports, your TV, pay attention here. If you continually ignore your taxes, you may have more than fees to deal with. The IRS could file a notice of a federal tax lien, a claim on your property, seize your property, make you forfeit your refund, file charges for tax evasion, revoke your passport, my bad. So that's pretty severe, guys. So what's the best thing you can do to avoid all this? Hire a CPA. Yeah, hire a CPA and you avoid all of this mess. This is very steep. This is steep penalties, and penalties just will obliterate your net worth. So avoid penalties, late fees, all those things that you can control them. Credit cards that have interest, do what you can. Pay them down. Don't pay the interest. Don't buy more than you need. Pay in full every month. That's what I do. Talk to your CPA to see what they suggest you do with your credit card situation. Alright, let's continue. Taxes are due today. Here's how to file an extension in 15 minutes. Alright, so it kind of gives you a breakdown. Pro tip: tax day is the deadline for federal income tax. Many states extended their deadline to July 15th, but checked your local state agency. Alright, let's continue here. Bottom line, you should move quickly to file your taxes and owed. It's important to approach your situation with a clear head and know the facts. Stay calm and lean on the IRS website for help. And also, they didn't mention this, but lean on your CPA for help. That's a good advice too. Get your CPA to help you out. And of course, an extension can go until October 15th. Alright guys, we are almost here now. This is the home stretch. Let's just wrap this up. Today's tax day. Here's how to file your taxes or get an extension. See, they break down this form. To get an extension, get form 4868 through your tax professional tax software using freefile@irs.gov. The agency said taxpayers should remember that an extension of time to file is not an extension of time to pay. That's important. The IRS said. So this is straight from the IRS. Also remember that if you owe money, it's still due today whether you get an extension or not. Otherwise, you could get socked with penalties and interest. And if you continually don't pay, you go to jail. They take you saw what I just said, so it's going to be severe. Just pay it off if you can. You do whatever you can to pay it off. Your payment can be submitted electronically, direct payment, electronic federal tax payment system, or by debit, credit, or digital wallet. If you go that route, select form 4868 or see. There's all these different forms, guys. It's kind of confusing, which is why you get a CPA and they make it less confusing for you. What time is the tax deadline today? If you're waiting for the last possible minute to file a tax, at least know how much time you have. The stroke of midnight. So here we go. 90% of taxpayers these days are filing an electronic return. You must e-file your tax forms by midnight tonight. However, please don't wait until 11:59 to click the submit button. It can take a few minutes for your return to be successfully transmitted to the IRS, and that delay can cause you to miss the deadline. So don't miss deadlines. Other tax deadlines today: estimated taxes covering the first and second quarters of 2020, payroll tax for household employees, and estate, gift, and generation skipping transfer tax. Okay, and let me see. I had a couple more things I want to go over before we wrap this thing up. Tax return deadline 2020, how to file an extension, estimated returns, and more. This is from CNET Personal Finance. Just to give us another source so we can diversify our sources. Alright, so we also have to tell you about the standard deduction, 401k plan, health savings accounts, and more. Last day to file is today. If you missed the deadline, you need to file an extension. However, this is what really happens. The failure to file penalty is $300 in 2020. The taxpayer first act of 2019 will increase the penalty to $330 in 2021. See, this would be good to look up. The taxpayer's first act of 2019. I'm going to look into this and see what that is. I've never heard of that. It might be good to know. And then it tells you the form for an extension, what should you know for 2019. Basically goes over the deductions and all that stuff. Like I said, this is a lot to keep track of. I can't keep track of all this stuff. So I went to an expert and he took care of it for me. And what was it called? What was the name of this thing? What was it? Taxpayer first act of 2019. Okay, so it's some. I'm not going to go through all this. I'm not an expert. Talk to an expert, he probably knows. Now, to finish this off, I'm going to say this. Stocks. I have not made a video about stocks in a while now. I was personally working on my tax stuff, and it's kind of been hectic the past few days. However, I will have a video for you guys coming out soon. In the meanwhile, I'm going to leave you guys with this. Look at this. Is absolutely insane, guys. Every day, you just don't know what's going to happen. It's crazy. So, all the way March 23rd, we hit our lows, and then we've been recovering. And then on June 29th, we were at 3,000, and today we're at 3226. So it's made a nice comeback. That's S&P 500 and the Dow Jones. Same thing. On June 26th, it was 25,000, and now it's 26. It's almost 27,000. It's insane how quickly the markets have recovered. Like I said, this video was about taxes, and the next video will probably be a stock video, or I'll give you guys an update about the stimulus checks. The next stimulus plan, I should say, which is probably going to have some checks in it. I've been keeping an eye out on the news, seeing what's going on. I'll give you guys my input on that. Alright guys, that's going to be the next video. As always, if you're not subscribed, don't forget to subscribe. If you like the video, don't forget to give it a like. Until next time, peace.